know if it's going to cover every single hotel in Port Harcourt, but we have to wait and see how that one would work out. Well, that's one in Port Harcourt. Another issue is the OML 25, which has been lingering for
For a long time.
Finally, the controversies that are surrounding that issue, oil mining lease 25, that's if you want to put it in full, in Kula Agricultural Local Government Area, has finally been resolved by the federal government. And like we've always said on the show, the federal government should be the one to look into this because they gave Shell the license. And this followed an agreement that was reached between the oil giant Shell, the indigenous oil company Belema Oil, and the federal government for operations of the oil well to resume in the next 10 days. There's some things I want us to take note of. Vital things. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, was involved in this. And while they were signing the agreement, he appreciated all the parties. And he also stressed the fact that this step would mean a new beginning and a new chapter in the industry. He also went on to say that the biggest beneficiaries would be the communities and not the companies, which was originally the issue. The company said Shell has been there for over 30 years and we haven't benefited much. And now he's saying this new agreement would mean that the communities would benefit more and the companies benefit less, and especially those in Belema. But now the question on my mind is, does this then mean that everything goes away? Like we are now sure that we are going to see oil companies do what they have to do in communities, as against what we used to see where people would say, in quotes, divide and rule tactics that are being employed by some oil companies that are located in communities. For OML 25, it's been a long-standing battle. The River State government tried to want to get into it, and many said don't, because we've presented this to the federal government. It's in the office of the vice president at the time. I think it got to the president too, and they are going to settle it from the federal level. But it went on, and the protest went on and said Shell can't do anything here. We don't want them. We don't know what the agreement entails, but they are saying it would. It's a good deal for all the parties involved. But now, has the license been revoked from Shell and given to Belema Oil is another thing.
Oh, I don't know the details, but I'd like to say, first of all, it's quite great to see Tim Silva already, doing something. I mean, when did he just, but it's already at work. And, this sort of issues, they're really sensitive because it involves the community and also the oil companies. Most of the time, some elements in the community would go to meet the oil companies. It might not be even the oil company that would say, oh, look, and they will collect bribe and all that, and it will lead to all these issues. Normally, the oil company, where you explore from, you're supposed to develop the area, at least to an extent. So I don't know the details of the deal they have, and I don't know what would go on, but hopefully the community begins to benefit from the fact that they have oil in their souls. I don't know. Well, kudos to Tim Silva again for
but Wealth, like if you look at this now, does this mean that okay, we're definitely going to see, it's going to be hurrah from now? This is not the. We've had agreements upon agreements reached with oil companies and communities, different MOUs signed and not met. Would this one be different is the question.
Well, usually we are all used to the fact that host communities and oil companies or oil blocks usually have issues with the host communities in general. And then after a while of uproar and agitations and all, there's always an agreement, as you said. But hopefully this one works out right. I mean, there's still chance for maybe a change in narrative and all of that. But if it works out fine, then I think it's a good step in the right direction.
Sounds like it's going to be a good step because even Shell, the managing director of the company, Osage Osumbo, said that the company will now launch extensive projects that will better the communities. So we are going to look out for those projects. I'm pretty sure everybody will be keeping tabs of whatever step Shell is taking now henceforth. If anything goes south, then we might have to visit this topic again. But talking about visiting topics, we all would remember that IPOB one time attacked the former Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, somewhere in Germany,
Germany,
right? And some other persons, Christian Giga, is saying that they can't attack him.
Yes. I have a story today, and it concerns IPOB and another Igbo leader. Now, like you mentioned earlier, I mean, was it last month?
It was
sometime. Ike Ekweremadu was attacked in Germany. He went for a function there and was attacked by IPOB members who even said they were going to continue to do so to other Igbo leaders who, according to them, were trying to,
we're corrupt.
We're corrupt and we're trying to sell out.
Against their cause.
Their cause. Now, recently, I think day before yesterday, again, Okorocha came out and he said he doesn't know what IPOB wants. Like the group, what exactly they want, he doesn't know. Like,
is it difficult to know what they want?
Well, it could call sometimes because a lot of them will call and they won't exactly say what they want. Some will say referendum, and some will say just give us our country, and another person will say we are marginalized. Now, Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, has said members of the indigenous people of Biafra cannot attack him outside Nigeria. He stated this in Obosi and Anambra State against the background of reports that IPOB members are threatened to attack politicians of the Southeast geopolitical zone if they were sighted anywhere outside the country. Like I said, IPOB threatened to attack any Igbo leader, and not just Igbo leaders. I think they threatened to attack President Muhammadu Buhari when he was
going to Japan. They said they were going to protest, but nothing happened. It was in Yokohama.
So now Ngige is saying whether he's out of the country or in the country, the IPOB cannot attack him because he protected them and their interests when he was the governor of Anambra State, which is quite funny because you're the governor of Anambra State and Anambra State is in Nigeria. Should you protect the interests of people who want to be Biafra? Well, let me just... now, it said, IPOB was registered by the late President General of ONZ Indigbo, Dr. Dozie Ikedife, and other Igbos as a non-violent group. What is going on now in the group is not part of the work plan. I visited the United States of America recently, and I was welcomed by IPOB members. They knew I fed and protected them when I was governor, and I have said it several times that Biafra cannot be achieved the IPOB way. So he's saying Biafra cannot be achieved the way IPOB is trying to, do it. He also says the Igbo should stop shouting marginalization. They should stand up and assert themselves to be counted. Area belongs to all of us. Equity favors the Igbo to produce the next president of the country. Now he's talking about the next president of the country. But they must work hard and position themselves for it. We should stop political sentiments. Politicians don't give power based on sentiments and emotions. President Muhammadu Buhari has said is favorable to an Igbo president. So now what he's saying also is stop talking about marginalization. The president is open to giving, even though I don't, when you say you want to give power, I don't understand. But he's saying the president is open to, the next president being an Igbo man.
At least he said that during the campaigns.
Yeah. So he also says we must support him and associate with the APC politics talk. Nobody would give you president of Nigeria in your bedroom. But then that brings us again to IPOB and Igbo leaders this time around, because it seems like there's a back and forth between Igbo leaders and IPOB members.
Two things I picked up from everything he said. I think the first would be the fact that he said they can't attack him because he included them, he supported them while he was governor.
Yeah.
And that... So did Ike Ekweremadu.
Yes.
In all honesty, I mean, when Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, he stood there. He was the voice. He was speaking always and trying to get that done. And Nnamdi Kanu came out, and now we don't know where he is at the moment. But then he was attacked, and some people say was that he sold out the Biafra dream or plan or whatever the cause is. For Ngige, he said something else, which is Biafra cannot be achieve the IPOB way. So is he saying that somehow underneath him, he wants Biafra to be achieved, but he doesn't want it to be achieved in that manner?
Well, apparently what he said, his statement has certain implications. And like you could tell that, first of all, he's in support of the IPOB movement. Okay. And then secondly, he's coming out to talk about, leadership and marginalization. So it then means that for him, the reason why the Igbos would want to separate should not be because of marginalization and all of that. So he's sending another message, telling Igbos that, okay, true. The whole idea is not about marginalization. But then I really don't understand if he supports, the whole agitation and secessionist desires by the IPOB and all of that.
But then again, the IPOB and what they want to achieve, would they do this by fighting with every Igbo leader they see as threats? I mean, because if you want to referendum, you want to leave the country and all of that, who would be your leaders? Isn't it the same Igbo leaders? So if at all you should be fighting someone, should it be
maybe then if we put it in perspective, Ekweremadu didn't ever wanted to agree to the Biafra. Yes, he sympathizes with his people, but the cause, saying, "Oh, you want," he didn't share the same idea.
Yeah,
and they made that clear when they attacked him as well, and mentioned that amongst other things. Nnamdi Kanu came out and said that's when Nnamdi Kanu said we were going to attack more leaders of Igbo extraction who are not in support of the cause. But if you look at Ngige's statement, it sounds more like he knows they can't attack him because they know that he supports the cause. And when you look at what he said about cannot be achieved the IPOB way, it means that
can it be achieved some other
there's
way?
some other ways that he feels it can be achieved, and if given the chance, he might, let them see how we can best do it. It's not like it's a crime for some people to get up and say they want to be, it's happening in Spain. Catalonians are saying we want to have our own. Yes, but how you go about it is different. I think that's where he is coming from. You can't do it by, protesting and destroying properties and all of those. No. Or marching on the streets. You do it by referendum, going to the law.
Can it also be seen as an attack on Ikorimadu by Ngige, saying, look, they attacked you, but they cannot attack me because I am more...
You could look at it, it's almost like still saying, Ikorimadu, you did not support them, that's why. Me, I know I support them, so they can't do me anything.
They can't attack me. So, well, I have another thing from banks. Now, a while ago, you guys might not know this, but a while ago, Tracy's account 30,000 naira.
No, leave my account. Don't call out my account, please. Don't.
But no, I'm not calling out
But it happens, Not my account.
30,000 naira was deducted for what? For account
charges, maintenance.
Charges. And now I'm reading this piece from Punch newspapers where it says 4 banks generated 24.3 billion naira from account maintenance charges. Now, between January and June 2019, that's about how many months there? About 4 or 5 months. 4 leading banks generated 24.3 billion from account maintenance charged on their customers' accounts, investigations have shown. Now, this is an increase from about 19.8% in the last year to now 20.39 billion. Now, it makes me wonder how much exactly do these banks remove from our accounts? Because sometimes I wake up to texts and
52 naira, 30 naira, 50 naira,
and I see 100 and something. Now, the Senate in 2018 called on the Central Bank of Nigeria to suspend the deduction of card maintenance fee.
They still collect it.
It has not been implemented. Yes.
The upper legislative chamber also directed its banking committee to investigate the deduction in comparison with what is obtained in other countries. Like, do you understand what they mean? Like, in other countries, what do these banks
Bank
collect?
of England, it's not the way it's done here.
Why are people you just wake up to alerts and you tell me it's for card maintenance? I mean, my card's with me.
I
maintain my card. I clean my card myself.
I clean it myself.
So why are you maintaining my card for me and then you deduct 30,000 naira you deduct so much? I mean, how can just 4 banks
sometimes
make
it could happen
billion?
and some people are saying if you're opening a current account it's more expensive to maintain. And I'm like, okay, so I'm closing all current accounts I have because I suffered I didn't enjoy the feeling. It wasn't nice.
So like specifically Zenith Bank recorded 9.57 billion from account maintenance fee, just account